Is it possible to overcome the fear of death? How does it feel to die? Let me tell you that there is a safe way to experience death and the feeling of your soul leaving the body simultaneously, and it is not for the faint-hearted. Watch this video to find out how I overcame the fear of death using past life regression hypnosis. Welcome! If you are interested in real mystical experiences, psychic world, angels and spirit guides, then support this new channel by subscribing. I have experienced a close encounter with death twice in my life. Both happened back in my childhood. First instance occurred when I was 6 years old and almost drowned. Second one, when I was about 10 and found myself involved in an accident with half of my face being badly injured. I was lucky to be spared by death. One would think that both of these instances would imprint the fear of dying so deeply into my veins that I would avoid the subject for the rest of my life. But as Nelson Mandela once said, the brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Back in 2019, I had a time in my life where I was forced to confront a lot of my fears. Almost everyone who walks a spiritual path will experience some form of fear as a nudge to deal with the underlying shadows. I was advised by my spirit guides to look into past life regression therapy. There is one really important thing I wanted to experience during these regressions. It was my past life's death circumstances to the fullest. A quick disclaimer for the sensitive ones before we start. You may find some of the following scenes too graphic. Another thing I want to quickly touch upon is credibility. After the session, I have asked my therapist if the whole experience could have been a result of my vivid imagination. He has highly dismissed my suggestion by pointing out that throughout the deep hypnosis, the conscious mind is no longer active. It is impossible to make up the body senses. On the contrary, my conscious mind would have done everything to preserve me from some scenes that were too overwhelming during the regression. After some relaxation and breathing exercises, I was induced into a deep hypnosis and was guided through a wide tunnel of light through to the other side, where I could access my past lifetimes. In the first instance, I found myself in Egypt. One apparent thing has shocked me deeply. I had a pair of heavy chains around my ankles and another pair around my wrists. I was a male slave. I could physically feel the heat of the sun, the sweat running through my strong body, the thirst, being extremely tired both mentally and physically. I could not take much longer and lashed out at my supervisor. I could feel the pain of multiple whiplashes on my back. As I fell on the ground, something heavy approached my head. The pain was so deep and sharp it was almost unbearable. The experience was not meant for the faint-hearted. I remember complaining about the pain to the therapist. Tears were flowing down my face. He had to intervene few times to redirect my attention from the physical symptoms to the overall scene. My body was shaking, and gradually I felt the overwhelming feeling of cold and peace surrounding me. An out-of-body experience followed. I was perceiving the world from the location outside of my body with calmness and painlessness. When asked by my therapist to leave the scene, I refused, as I wanted to stay just a little bit longer. From afar, I observed the physical me lying on the hot sand, as few big blue flies landed on my body. Only then I was ready to say goodbye. After a few moments, I found myself floating in a dark river, which brought me to another past lifetime. This time, I was a pilot of a small plane. However, I wasn't flying in the sky. After the malfunction of equipment, the plane crashed unexpectedly. I saw fire flames everywhere, and a thick smoke was burning my eyes and throat. I managed to get out of the plane somehow, but I could not move my legs. A sharp pain was shooting in both of them. My head was injured and my body was shaking uncontrollably. I felt physically sick. Gripping onto the last bit of my strength, I managed to crawl just a little further away from the plane. I placed my back on the green grass facing the sky. Few birds were flying around. The pain was somehow gone. The shock and the scare gradually diminished. A sense of peace and total surrender crept upon me. I was no longer worried and afraid. I was dead. In the third past lifetime, I traveled to an old wooden cabin and found an elderly lady sitting in the middle of the room. I realized that this time I was a witch with real healing powers. People from my village would approach me whenever they or their family members had issues with their health or challenges in life. I was the one helping others to escape death using spiritual gifts and knowledge. However, in this instance, I was not given a chance to see my own death circumstances. Perhaps the physical me lying on a therapy bed was too exhausted from the two previous experiences, and my soul knew it. Perhaps this time I was not ready to face the full details surrounding my death. I am sure I will be able to do so in the future. Having faced death twice in my real life and twice during hypnotherapy, I am not afraid to do it again. After past life regressions, I have experienced diminished fears and phobias. I am no longer afraid of death. As it turned out, something we fear so much can become a totally transforming and enriching experience. This is part 2 of the 3-part series focusing on my past life regressions. In the first part, I talk about the hypnotherapy in greater detail. We will travel to ancient Egypt and medieval times. Part 3 is about a mysterious experience of reconnecting with my starseed family. For more mystical stories, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you for allowing me to relive this extraordinary experience once again.